Okay, very good. It looks like we're all set here, and let me just pop in this message. Boom. All right. So this week has been a really powerful week for me personally because I realized that I don't work in the same way that I usually work. And so that makes me and has been making me very, very nervous and very, very fearful. I had a belief that said the way to succeed is by working hard and doing a lot of things. And what I realized this week is that there is definitely a time and a place for working hard and doing a lot of things, but there's also a time and place for reaping the benefits of hard work and all the things that you've done in the past. And I think that for myself, in this particular time, I'm realizing that um, it's very difficult, I think, for many heart centered entrepreneurs who are limited by beliefs that hard work is the only way. Now, what I also noticed is that, okay, I started to realize that yes, I have worked really hard for years in a very focused way, and I've sacrificed a lot of things. And what also the thing I think that's most important for me to understand today is that while I was working really hard and almost in an obsessive way, I had forgotten how to live. So in my pursuit of business building, there was neglect, not of my spiritual life, because that has always been really firmly intact, but there was definitely a sacrifice of intimate friendships, relationships that bring closeness and accountability and joy. And along with that, even physical kind of physical closeness. I and again, the world is an outpicturing of what's happening inside of ourselves. And for me, during that period, I needed people to stay arm's length from me because work was always going to come first. Building was always going to come first. And what ended up happening, that was happening in my mind. The mantra was business comes first. And then in the physical world, what started happening is business came first. I was working a lot, which was not a bad thing, but my relationships took a back seat and my friends kept getting further and further in proximity. We would still talk on the phone on a regular basis, once a week, twice a week, to my core friends, sometimes every day. But what started happening was everyone got further and further physically apart. I moved, then another person moved, then another person moved, and then I came back to California and there's nobody here. So now I'm back in California and I realize that I want my physical contact with people, and now everybody's away. So as I'm realizing that I've already worked hard to build a great foundation for myself, I'm now realizing that I have a lot of work to do to call in physical friends in proximity, physical intimacy in proximity to me. And I have to deal with the fact that there's a part of me that's saying physical proximity for 1 year, then I'm leaving again. Then I'm going to go travel the world again. Oh, gosh. The beauty of being an independent, heart-centered entrepreneur where we get to make all the decisions for ourselves, like the consequences of those decisions and how we use our power. So today, as I was thinking this week over how I want to go forward, what I would like for us to do, I want to check in with you all, see how you're doing this week, and see how you were doing, how you did last week with dealing with those shadows and then going forward toward your goals. Okay? So let's check in. I see we have Ms. Cora there sitting in her zebra striped chair. Hi, Cora.
Hey, you guys, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. My allergies are acting up a little bit, so you have to excuse me if I keep sneezing.
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh my goodness. You guys, do you have two allergy seasons there?
Oh yeah, yes, and
Uh-huh.
they both flare me up pretty bad. And
Yeah, okay.
echinacea, because that's supposed to naturally boost your immune system, and it's just not working right now.
Yeah, sure. They say echinacea and golden seal,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the whole thing is that honey. Do you have bees on your farm? You don't have bees on top of it all.
Not yet. No, I'm working on getting bees. We will have bees. Maybe next summer. I wanted to do it this summer, but I wasn't able to. So definitely next summer.
Fantastic, Cora. That'll be great. Well, I'm glad that you've made it. I'm glad that you've joined it. Hello there, Thomas.
I actually, even with
Thomas.
echinacea, I give all the animals like the dogs and the goats, and then
Oh,
the
you give it to them
donkeys.
too?
Yes, yes, that's actually one of the best things to give to the goats because they get really susceptible to getting worms, and that'll kill
Oh,
them very quickly. And
oh,
so
wow.
I give them
Okay.
echinacea pretty regularly. I want to
Yes,
start
amazing.
growing it. I want to grow it for them, but I'm afraid they won't let it grow. They'll just eat it before it can grow. You know what I
Before it
mean?
can grow, yeah. Maybe you'll have to put it on your rooftop. Then you'll
Or,
have then
yeah.
you'll have little goats trying to climb up to your roof. But at least you can put it up there, then take it down once it gets starts to grow.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
really
working on it. Having a farm and all the animals, there's always something that needs to be done. And
yeah.
so,
Yeah.
and then adding the business in element in on that, it's like, oh gosh, there's really just not enough hours in the days. But since working with you and working with the group, I'm just trying to focus on trying to slow down and try to be more business oriented
Yeah.
and get those details down because I definitely I have no skills in any of that. So just
Yeah.
working on building that, working on staying calm and patient and not getting upset if things don't go my way. Cause I know at the end of the day, at my very core that I am doing the right thing and it's going to eventually come together. And I
Right.
just gotta keep moving forward and working on it.
Yeah. Very good. Excellent, Cora. Thank you. That's a really good update. And you sound very positive. You sound um grounded, so very good. Excellent. Hey, Sangeeta, good morning. Hey, Ashley, how are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm just trying to get something out of my throat because I'm also eating breakfast real
Oh,
quick. But
okay. Okay.
yeah, so maybe a minute.
Okay, go ahead. Well, let's check in with Sangeeta.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, how are you all?
Good, thanks. How about you? I don't know, you didn't hear the first part of the program,
No, I
huh?
didn't. No.
Okay, so basically we're doing a check-in and we're going to start talking a little bit about goals. But how are you doing this week?
I'm doing good. except for this, but otherwise I'm good.
Mhm.
So, you know what, Crystal? Today I learned something very nice. I mean, not learn, as in, you remember I was telling you with regards to the license and all over here, it's very strict and there's
Yeah.
lots of complications. But I was talking to a friend today who does something about art and like paintings and stuff like that.
Like
And then
therapy, you mean? Like art therapy or just painting?
no, no, not art therapy. She just does
Okay.
paintings and
Okay.
artwork,
Okay.
and she works. So she told me that, Sangeeta, you're doing this. Don't you have a, like? What are you looking about license? I said, I don't know. I'm just thinking. I'm trying to find out all options possible and stuff like that. And then she said, Oh my God, there's a place here where you just go and you get an e-license. So that gives you a trade license to work electronically, and
Oh,
it is just like very very minimal amount for the year. They give you a license and you renew it every year. So you can do like seminars and stuff like that in Dubai, and you can do
oh,
online teaching and online coaching
wow.
across the world. So I was
Fantastic.
like so excited, so I'm going to
That
go ahead
is
and get that
so
license.
awesome. That is really wonderful, Sangeeta. An e-license. Wonderful. I've never heard of
Yeah,
it
because
before.
I used to always be concerned because this place is really you know they're very nitpicky and they're very very
Yeah.
particular about stuff. Like, it's very easy in other countries, but here even the slightest of thing and they can kind of just pull you up.
Yeah.
So that, and like, even if they have monies coming into account and stuff like that, they can question you, like make it very difficult for you.
Mhm.
So with this license, you can have like a PayPal account, you can have stuff like that onto your, and then there'll be no question. So you're officially able to have a business under your name. So I was like,
Okay, very good.
it feels like a step forward and feels good.
Very good. Congratulations. I'm glad that you are feeling that way. I know that you're challenged as you are developing your coaching philosophy. And I'm sure that this feels like a little bit of an opening in
Yeah.
this heavy world of big thinking and
Yeah.
accountability, right?
Yeah.
Good.
The
Very good.
coaching thing is definitely heavy, but I think today I was like, work, like after we had a call in the morning today, I was
Hmm.
just thinking about it, and I'm not sure, but something just came to my mind, and I thought about, there's a lot more that's coming in from what we discussed this morning, and it
Mm,
seems to grow every time I think about it.
mm.
So I think it's going in the right direction. It's just taking some time. I just
Yeah.
need to have patience and not get like flustered with it. That's it.
That's it. And to have that tenacity to, stick with it, at
Yeah.
which I know you do, Sangeeta, and also to be challenged with it because no philosophy is worth its weight if it cannot stand up to challenge. You know, if
Yeah.
there's no if there's no contradiction, and if you're writing a philosophy without bringing in contradictions, without bringing in, you know, advocacy from the devil, where you're kind of like, let me see how I can fuck this up. Then
Mhm.
you're not doing the work, but you are doing the work, and you are a deep thinker. So you're you're paying the price of thinking deeply, and that is exactly what we're doing.
But I
This
know that
mm,
doing that will give me a good outcome as well. So
Yeah, for sure. This is interesting because and excuse me, I'm about to make an assumption, Sangeeta, because you have you like Lord Ganesha, so I'm assuming that you're Hindu. You could be like me, Christian background, but liking Christ and Shiva and Ganesha. And really, my favorite god of all is Lord Shani. Are you familiar
mm.
with Lord Shani?
Yeah, of course I know.
And so you probably don't touch Lord Shani unless you have to, right?
Yes.
Exactly. And so I understand that very well, but having a Capricorn rising in Vedic astrology, it makes me Lord Shani's child, right?
Yep.
And so the thing though is that we're all the children of all these gods, right? In
Yeah.
some way, shape, or form. And The God, though, of deep thinking and excellence is Lord Shani. He basically is the one that says, you know, he casts his hairy eyeball. I call it the hairy eyeball, you know, with the gaze.
Yes.
And he looks at you and he upsets you when you're not thinking deeply enough, when you're not paying enough attention to detail, when you're cutting corners, and when you are basically falling short of your soul's agenda, right?
Yeah.
And the reason I love to bring him in when we're doing this deep philosophical work for our business is because when we are thinking superficially, we're a little bit sloppy in our thinking. We don't know it. We don't know that because, you know, we're children. You know, we don't realize. Sometimes we do. Some people do realize when we're sloppy. Some people realize it, but a lot of times we're coming into business building with a tremendous sense of innocence. Even I, as long as I've been in business for myself, you know, and I've been an entrepreneur since I was 8 years old, right? So that's 42 years of entrepreneurialism, and I still have a tremendous innocence about me. There's still so much that I don't know, right? So that's one thing. The other thing is when you're a grown ass woman and you know that you aren't doing your work. Okay. You know you aren't doing your work. Yes, you might have the excuse that I'm tired, I'm taking on too much. But the fact is, you're an adult and you know when you're cutting corners. This is when Lord Shani comes in and says, pew, pew, pew. Wake up, child. Wake up and smell the coffee. You need to slow down, do whatever you need to do to make your life in order so that you can actually bring excellence to the work that you're doing.
Mm.
So in this case, Sangeeta, I get to play the role of Lord Shani, okay?
Yes,
And I
I
get
know.
to say, I have to read, you know, everybody's work and say, look, I need you to go deeper
Yeah, the
here.
other day, Crystal just turned into like she got tear into my eyes when she shouted at me. And I was like, oh my God. And then I'm like, okay, no, that's fine. It's for my
Yes.
good. So it's
Yes.
okay.
Yes. And what's really funny is that I was actually shouting. I was shouting. I rarely look, I get excited, but I rarely shout. I'm like, Sangeeta, I don't understand. What is this you've written? What is this? You've got to explain to me what it is you're really trying to say. But this is where that it is utterly ridiculous for us to not do things to excellence. There is a time when we have to go thin, superficial, shallow. We have to. Time is calling us and we have no choice. But in order for us to build a business, and this is for everyone here, and this is what we're going to be talking about today as a group as soon as we're done and we get to check in with Ashley, the thing that I need you to do is to tell me what the purpose is of your business. And we're going to kind of work through that a little bit today. We're going to do it as a kind of a broad workshop today. But there is there's a requirement that every business has, which is that you know what you're doing. You may not know how you're doing it, but you know what you're doing and why. So that's what we're ultimately going to come through today. And if you have not thought about it in detail, then we're going to give you an opportunity to do it. Okay? Awesome. Thank you, Sangeeta. Ashley. Ashley's up. She's got her camera on. Hey, girl.
Hey. All right, so yeah, I mean, this week, I was talking to a friend of mine who has a startup, and they need a bunch of graphic art done. So they were interested in sort of having me on, like, at most like 5 hours a week to be able to provide these assets for them, because they have a lot of them that they need to prepare to reach out or to communicate with venture capitalists and things like that to get their funding. So
Fantastic.
yeah, so it's an opportunity to, have some income like in the meantime while I'm still working on my main project, which is the game, which is what I was sort of hoping for, to just give myself that sense of stability and that reassurance that I am capable of making money of some kind, rather than just entirely putting it off until this thing is done, you know. Um, so that's sort of nice. We're just sort of like, setting up the terms of this right there, and they're clarifying what their requests are going to be exactly. So we haven't fully kicked it off yet, but it sounds like we've agreed on pricing and things like that already.
Wow,
So
congratulations. That's wonderful.
yeah.
Good. And how are you feeling emotionally and energetically?
Well, there's that, and I'm optimistic about it, but I still am a little tense because I want to make sure everything goes well.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing that I wanted to mention that I noticed, especially this week, but it's happened a lot in the past, is that whenever it seems like something is going well, or just in general, I find myself having a lot of thoughts of disaster, just like finding the, ideas of horrible things happening, just popping into my head. Like, here I am drawing all this stuff, but what if I were spontaneously blinded? Here I am exercising and building my muscles, but what if I were paralyzed? Like just all like really extreme stuff potentially, but it just pops into my head, and I'm like, it just so easily, these things are so fragile. It would be so easy for me to lose all this stuff that I've been putting all this time and energy into building for myself. So like I notice that a lot, and then I start getting paranoid because I think if I think about that too much, then it might become some kind of self-fulfilling prophecy, or something else bad will happen because I'm in that kind of mindset. So yeah, I noticed that happening a lot.
Fantastic. I'm so glad that you gave voice to that, because I'm laughing hysterically because that's what I do. Anybody else, Cora, Sangeeta, do you guys have those kinds of weird thoughts too? Yeah, I'm telling you, man. You just gave voice to our consciousness, man.
Okay.
Excellent. What do you do when that happens, Ashley?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm really torn between trying to not think about it and trying to think about it, because I know like you don't want to just try to shove something down, because then it'll still be there.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't want to wallow in it,
Yeah.
and give it too much airtime in my brain, So it's just like I try to, well, sometimes I am kind of like afraid of it, and I end up pushing on and focusing on whatever I'm doing and trying to change what I'm thinking about, but that's not really what my plan is. It's just something that happens. But what I do try to do if I'm actually thinking about it is to ask it questions and be like, where is this coming from? Like, is it because I don't trust myself? Is it because I believe that nothing good can happen to me? Like, what is this? Is there a way that I can find the core belief? Stuff like that.
Yeah, that's it. It's same thing for me, same process, and recently it's been happening so much I've had to laugh, just because it's like such, things have gone so well for me, and there's so much to celebrate that I'm kind of like, all right, this is just me. This is a part of my personality. It's who I am. And I'm going to now celebrate the part of me that is a nervous Nelly who creates disasters. And, she's also very creative. She's got an amazing, she loves Star Wars and wants to be out there taking on big giant challenges. And so I usually tell myself, gosh, it's really fun to imagine those things. Let's enjoy the safety and the security of a nice, stable world. And we can entertain those fantasies in our minds and play. Very good. Thank you, Ashley. Good, great sharing. And again, congratulations on creating this opportunity to bring in some extra cash while you are creating your art. Very good.
Yeah.
Now, what I'd like for us to do, last week I asked you all to write down your goals for your business, and I want you all to, did anyone do that already? Did you all write down some goals? Sangeeta did. I know she posted on the Facebook group.
Well, I had something, yeah, in general terms that I put down even back when I was joining the group.
Want to share them, Ashley?
Yeah. So I wonder if I have the exact text on here. Like what I remember of what I said though was basically that I want to use art in the form of games or in the form of other, drawings and writings that I do, um, to communicate about just whatever happens to be my truth at that time, and in doing so, um, to spark self-awareness in people, or to spark, greater, to spark some kind of expansion of perspective in people, to just, get people to think and have some sort of, positive impact on them by communicating what it is, you know, um, that's going on with me and that I've learned through this sort of art. But I have to be careful about my phrasing, because it's important to not turn it into some sort of lecture. It's a sharing of
Right,
experiences,
right.
and what they take from it might not be the same as what I took from it, but I can at least provide them with this experience, you know,
hmm
that might not be something that they'd be exposed to otherwise.
Yeah, beautiful. I think that's really, really powerful. Um, and I think you even answered my uh the thing. I think you've started the exercise that I was going to have us do a little bit later. Let me hear from Sangeeta and Cora about what your goals are. Sangeeta, you shared on Facebook um, your goal, and you might have changed that over the course of the week. So feel free, Cora or Sangeeta, whenever, whoever's ready. Cora's
I
talking.
guess for me, I would say, to this is actually I haven't thought of it in this context, but I've been thinking of, why am I trying to accomplish what I'm accomplishing with the animals? And a big thing that keeps coming up for me and thinking that, in the past week is that idea of sharing knowledge. Of just, I've got a lot of stuff that goes on in my brain, and I have to have an outlet for it, which, my teaching online helps me do. But at the same time, there's also this like need to share knowledge that's related to, that human animal nature kind of bond that we've gotten away from, especially in our Western culture.
I
And
love it.
so just trying to get back to that human animal nature bond, and share the love and creativity that comes from that.
Okay, excellent. Very
Yes,
good.
those seem like very lofty goals, but at the same time, it seems pretty simple.
It does. It seems lofty, it seems high vibrational, but it also seems practical. It seems doable. And I think this is why I have so much confidence in you, because it seems very true through you. And you cannot give something that you do not have. So I feel like you have it. So you will have plenty of success, Core. It's just about shaping it into a way that that works for you and also manifests in the form of wealth. You know, wealth for your land, wealth in friendships, relationships, wealth in community, wealth in your bank account, right? all
Right.
those things. Sure. Sure.
Right.
Very good.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Sangeeta, and make Sangeeta unmute yourself because you were talking, but you weren't muted. So Cora got herself unmuted before you. So
I think for me, it's more of because I mean, this is like a passion that's there for me.
yeah.
And it's come more uh, as I've grown older.
Mhm.
Uh, I mean, and I kind of think this is what I should have done years back, which I didn't do. But it's my time. I mean, maybe this is the
Yeah.
right time for it. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't regret what I've not done before, but it's just now I want to make that switch from this, my role of a 9 to 5 where I report into people, but I just want to have my own where I report to myself. I do things with my conscious, and I
Yeah.
kind of work like the way I have transformed my life. I really want to touch other people to be able to transform their lives in the same way. So that's really what comes up for me. And I think I'm very
Yes.
passionate about that. So
For
that's what
sure.
I want like is my goal. But
Very
at the
good.
same time, I want to have the same similar kind of earning, if not same, at least similar kind of earnings, so that it keeps me going and keeps me uplifted at the same time.
Yes. Yes. Very good. And for my goal is to establish a real business. And um, the business part is really, really important for me. And as a matter of fact, I'm feeling something come up. So I'm going to just write some notes here for myself as I'm talking. Um, for me, business is a vehicle for spirituality. It's a vehicle for my soul. It's a vehicle of expression. And for me, a business is a container of safety. It's it's safety for me, meaning that if I'm going to have business, me as an individual, it means that I have a role to serve in my community. It means that I have a role to serve with my government and in politics. I have a vested interest in politics and what happens with the world. And it means that I'm making a contribution to society. It also means that um, I'm playing by a set of rules, and in which case I need to know the rules to a degree. And then I also have to break the rules, right? Because that's a part of my soul, is to have rules, to know them, and then to break them. Like, to know how to eat with a knife and fork, and to be able to eat elegantly with a knife and fork, and then to throw that shit out and eat with my hands. Yum, 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 to be able to do that. So being able to also be in integrity, which is really important for me. This, of course, is again one of Lord Shani's uh, uh, um, what is it called when, oh, imperatives. It's one of Lord Shani's imperatives, is that you are in integrity, right? That you do things with excellence. That's another benefit of business for me. And when I put all of this together, I my business thrives, and what I'm doing is creating for myself a new um, understanding and an experience of success. So when my business is touching on all these things, as well as, of course, providing transformation, and look, these are the things that are coming easy, which is why I didn't say them. But the thing that comes easy for me is providing my clients with knowledge, providing them with transformation, providing them with tools and resources, being an excellent mentor, and offering excellent guidance. Those things come easy for me, which is why I neglected to say them, because that's not something that I have to work on consciously right now. The thing I have to work on most consciously is making sure that my business has a structure that makes it a business. Now, the reason I'm saying this and kind of emphasizing the business is because sometimes as heart-centered entrepreneurs, we follow our hearts, we follow our spirits, and we are missing the business structure and the integrity. Now, I come from an old school background, and I'm not saying that this is right. As a matter of fact, I'm saying it's probably more outdated and almost wrong, but it still has some very important tenets that we need to at least think about, consider, and maybe even dialogue about it if you all are open to it. But one of the old tenets of business is that you are not a part of the business. You become replicatable so that other people can do your business and you can sit back as the business owner and let your business work while you enjoy the rewards of this thing that you've created. Now, that can be very difficult for some of us, like Ashley, who is the artist. Sangeeta is the art and the artist, right? Because you're the coach and the coach and the business owner, right? And Cora maybe has more of the traditional opportunity once she gets things in motion. Okay, so the old mindset again is that as the business owner, you don't go into your business to give yourself a job, right? This is Michael Gerber 101, you know. And most business owners start their own businesses so that they can give themselves a job, which doesn't really make it a business. I mean, it makes it a business, but you're not really working as you're working more as an employee of your own business, which means you're still an employee, right? So that's what old business was trying to break us from. It didn't want us to work in that way. It wanted us to be able to say, hey, here's a business. These are employees. There's a manager, there's a supervisor, and then there are employees. They're doing the business, and I'm overseeing, bringing in ideas, and letting them do all the work. Does that make sense to everyone? Now, what we have to kind of explore as heart-centered entrepreneurs is how to come into our business, bring our full self, bring our creativity, and create as much business structure as we can without sacrificing our creativity, without sacrificing our love of doing what we're doing, and still helping us to expand our wealth without us doing more work. Does that make sense? Are there any questions about anything that I'm saying so far? Can you unmute yourselves and then just ask your question and wait, give me 1 second so I can turn off this fan. I'm starting to freeze in here. Just a second. All right, so no questions. You get this concept, right? So one of the reasons why I emphasize entrepreneurs, heart-centered entrepreneurs, giving their business a structure is so that eventually you can start relaxing yourself out of the employee position and into a position of um, a leisurely approach to your work. So let me give you some practical examples. When I first started my coaching business, I had to develop the philosophy, develop the logo, develop the business structure, develop the website, do all the social media marketing, create all the programs, and and on top of it all, do the consultations, do the actual therapy sessions, teach all the classes, and so that was really great. I loved every single minute of it. But what started happening was that was about 60 hours a week, right? And in order for me to get paid, I had to do the individual appointments. I wasn't getting paid for creating a program. I got paid for doing the program, right? So I was definitely working 60 hours a week, every single week for years, okay? And that wasn't working because that was burning me out, because I hadn't taken the time to think far enough into the future to visualize a program that would be self-sustaining, right? Now, what I mean is by self-sustaining was the thing that I had to do was to take this old idea of business and bring it into my modern world, okay? Of being a heart-centered entrepreneur. So how could I go from doing all of that to doing much less, just more teaching and less administrative stuff? Well, I had to hire an employee, right? And once I knew what it was I needed the employee to do, finding the employee came very easy. I've been very, very blessed to be, to have worked with two really great personal assistants. And the one that I have right now is ideal. She's intelligent, she's articulate, flexible, exposed, right? Perfect, perfect assistant. And so now I've created the system for what she needs to do. She does the stuff in the system. And now I've freed myself up to be more of a boss who can create and be more into creativity, as opposed to you know, updating the plugins on the website, editing the videos, although that's creative still for me, but I'm going to be getting her to do that, right? I don't have to do the interviews. I don't have to make up the questionnaires. She can do all that stuff. Hopefully this is resonating with you all and it's making some sense. Yeah. Please feel free to unmute yourselves if you have any questions or comments. I'm always happy to hear. I'm happy to be interrupted. Okay.
No, I mean, I know that this is what needs to happen, ultimately, because it is a lot of work, doing everything by yourself.
Mm.
But yeah, you just have to make sure that you have the money to pay somebody, because
Well, this is a very good point, Ashley. Ashley, look, you got to pay them, right? I have to have in my budget an additional $1,000 every month to pay my personal assistant, which means that number one, you must have a budget for your business. If you don't have a budget for your business, then you're operating blindly. You're not in the business world. You're in the heart-centered, I'm just going with the flow world. Having a budget does a couple of things. Number one, it's a communication to the universe of what you need, an articulation, so that the universe can then start delivering, right? So if you write down that in my budget for my business, I need a website and I need all these apps and I need to have a tech person and I need to have a personal assistant, what you do is you write it down. And even though you don't have the money for it yet, you write it down and you say, well, you do the research to find out how much money you need to make it happen. Okay. You say, okay, universe, this is going to require me to need an additional $1,500 a month. Okay. That alone, that act alone creates a vibration in the universe, and it says, oh, opportunities. She needs $1,500. Oh, hey, could you do a part-time job for us? Ashley, we're looking for somebody who could do a part-time job. It just occurred to me, to call you, blah, blah, blah. We can pay you $1,500. We're going to pay you $4,500 to do this project for us over 3 months. How does that sound? You'd be like, yeah, okay, I can figure this out, right? So you see, just the budgeting starts the reverberation. Now, the smart business person sits down and can literally think, right? To help the universe, you can also think about, well, what are some ways that I can bring in some extra cash? Well, I've always been good at this. I could solicit people and see if they're looking for this, or I could get a part-time job over here doing that. You know, those things are very practical, real things that you can do if you feel like you need the money. For me, a part-time job does not work unless I create it, right? So if I want to create a part-time job for myself, I create a program. And then I say, okay, I'm going to take, a month to create this program. I'm going to sell it for 47 bucks online, and that'll generate some money for me. Okay? So these are things that you can do that don't have to limit you from having the things you need, but that can actually help you have the things that you need. There are also ways to get assistance that are not so, I don't totally recommend these, but if you're smart, you could get very lucky. Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com, has people around the world who will do things for you for cheap. Okay. Now, do I say that you should trust your internet access to your website with some stranger on Fiverr? No. But can you ask them to write up some copy for you, right? Give them an assignment to write up some copy for you? Sure. Can they do some graphic work for you? Sure. Can they edit a video for you? Absolutely. Cheap little ways to get things done to help you out. Fiverr.com started off as a place where people were offering their services for $5. Somebody who was a new graphic designer would go and design a logo for you for $5. Now it's really grown, so it's harder to find, well, it's not harder to find them. It's just that Fiverr is bombarded with people who are now charging $500 for a logo because they have more experience. There are still a lot of people on there that will do your logo for $5. You just have to get to them, right? All right. Let me get back on track here. Why was I telling you all this? There was a reason why I was telling you all this stuff.
It's just a way to find people to assist you.
Right, exactly. A way to find people to assist you. And so here's what I want you all to understand. This universe wants you to have what it wants you to have, and it wants you to have it now. The only thing that stops you from having it now are the limitations you put within your mind. Now, we don't know all the limitations within our minds. We're conscious because we're heart-centered entrepreneurs. We have a lot of consciousness about what the limitations are within our minds, right? We know our beliefs. We know what beliefs we have, right? The subconscious beliefs, though, are the ones that are the most dangerous and the ones that hold us back the most. And the unconscious rules are also the things that hold us back. Now, what I want to encourage you all to do is to set up goals for your business, beautiful big goals for your business, but then to step back and to say, what's blocking me from having those goals? So having you all do the shadow exercises over the last 2 weeks was a way for you to deal with your shadow in a conscious way so that you could see what your resistance is, right? So we spent those last 2 weeks looking at shadows and then using techniques to help move us up the emotional scale so that we could tap out some of that shadow energy, right? Because we don't know what the shadow is always consciously. So by tapping, we don't have to know. All we have to do is tap it out, and the subconscious is already moving stuff up, which is why we feel so much better after tapping, right? That's one way. What I'd like for us to do right now is to think about what our business goals are. And actually, hold on one second. Let me get this. I want to ask you, I want you to write down, hold on. I want you to very simply write down what your business is. There are 4 things. I want you to write down what your business is. Sorry, the name of your business, what your services that you offer, who your customers are, and then the result or the benefit that you give your customers. So what is the name of your business? Go ahead, Cora.
Is that like your elevator speech?
It doesn't have to be. It could be, right? But I just want, however, if you have an elevator speech already prepared, great, write it down. Then, this should come very easily for you. If you don't have an elevator speech, it might be a little more challenging, right? So
Right.
I want you to write down the name of your business. I want you to write down your product or your service, who your customers are, and then the result or the benefit or the transformation that you provide. And let's just take one more minute. All right, ladies. Now, you all have basically your business purpose written out, right? Um, what resistance do you feel, if any, to this purpose? What questions do you have regarding, like, when you look at your business purpose, what questions or what doubts arise in you? Let's have you write those down. Who's ready to share? I'm going to go ahead and share just to let you guys kind of know how we're going to just do this very quickly. All right. So my business name, service, and my customer altogether is my business name is Badass Butterfly Coaching and Mentorship for Heart-Centered Entrepreneurs. Okay. I coach and mentor heart-centered entrepreneurs in business. I provide clear business building strategies to help heart-centered entrepreneurs build and establish their coaching and healing businesses in the marketplace. Simple, right? The resistance I feel around this, because I feel very good about what I do, my fear, my resistance, my doubt comes in three ways. First thing is, how am I going to communicate to people what I do, right? What exactly is the right message to offer people so that they understand the depth of what I do? Because what I do is really profound. And then the next thing would be, how do I get recognized as an authority in this work? I know I'm an authority, my clients know I'm an authority, my students know I'm an authority, but how do I communicate to the world at large that I'm an authority? Those are my resistances, those are my problems, those are my issues. Okay. All right, who's ready to share their issues and their work?
Right. So I mentioned about what the service is, video games and related art assets, 2D and 3D. Um, and what people get out of it would be a hopefully unique storytelling experience with heart and authenticity, and or the art assets themselves would have a certain life and vitality to them that comes from me putting my heart into them, even if it's not a complete game. But the resistance and the doubts that I have are things like, will I be compensated sufficiently for all the effort it will take to make these things? And will I be able to find the audience that will receive what I have to offer and be willing to pay for it? Will finding this audience take up so much of my time that there's little time left to actually make the art? And if I don't find this, if I don't find this audience yet, then how will I make enough money to pay an assistant to help me find this audience while I make the art?
Excellent, Ashley. Excellent. Really clear articulation of your business purpose. I know exactly what you do now without any doubt. It's very clear, which is a good thing, by the way. Um, and there's even clarity around your articulation of your issues. Excellent work. Okay.
All right.
Whoops. I'm going to segue for a moment. And there's something, because this was something that I had meant to mention before. I wanted to mention before and I forgot. When you were talking about the assistant, Ashley, you were like, how do I pay for this? One of the reasons why you create a business plan early on in your business or before you do your business is so that, and in your business plan is included your budget, right? So all the expenses you're going to need to run your business would include an assistant and a marketing expert or whatever, however you're going to do that. One of the things you can do is find investors for your business, and you can also you can also get a bank loan. Okay, there's nothing wrong with taking out a bank loan to launch your business, as long as you are wise enough to manage your money. There's nothing wrong with borrowing in order to fund. You can borrow, they say you can borrow from friends and family. I've never had a lot of success with that. Cora's shaking her head. Yeah, like that doesn't work for me either. Yeah, I've done very, very, very well with bank loans for small business startups, especially if you're a woman or if there's something that you have going on that can help you get a grant or a loan. You can find something for very low interest, 1 or 2%, 3 or 4%. That would be an excellent interest rate. You could pay it off over a number of years, but it can give you working capital for you to build and to create your thing. But again, this requires planning in the beginning, because nobody's going to give you money if you don't have a well thought through plan where that they can see where you're going and how you plan on getting there. They're going to want to know those details, and which is another reason why I believe in a business plan, because it really feels good and it opens up your creativity when you know what your personal budget is. Let's say that your personal budget is $6,000 a month, to pay your rent, to pay your bills, blah, 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 $6,000 a month. And you know that you must make that, and in order to do your thing, and you've got your income coming and you've got your stuff working, whatever, you're almost there, but you need this job in order to maybe get you there, to keep you there. If you can say, all right, I need a year to launch my business, and where it's really kicking butt and it's launched and I've got income coming in from this business, and you say, well, um, I'm going to need to build my website. I'm going to need these tools, and I'm going to need an assistant, and I'm going to need to get this kind of coaching and education, blah, blah, blah. You pile that all into it and you say, all right, in order for me to live for a year and to build this business for a year, I'm going to need $100,000. Okay. What you can then say is, all right, let me get the plan out. Let me then take this to the bank, ask for a loan for $100,000. Or I can see if I can do partially um, capital investors, right? Maybe I'm going to see how much I can get from investors. If I can get $50,000 from investors and then $50,000 from a bank loan, then I can create this thing. All right. So that is one way of doing it. And it's something actually that I highly recommend as you're creating your business, to just think a little bit beyond you trying to do everything yourself and trying to create under the stress of, well, I've only got, this much money and I need a second job and I can barely pay my rent, right?
Well, I'm not actually even considering my savings for this because, like, although I have some money in savings, like, I don't really want to use that to pay someone else's salary be
Exactly.
because, that's a finite amount of money and the person needs to be paid continuously, if I'm going to
That's right.
retain them. So I feel like I need to have money coming in at the same time there's money going out.
Well, and so the thing is your assistant is your investment and it's your business. Your savings is your savings. That's Ashley. Ashley is not her business. Your savings is Ashley's money. The business needs investment, right? Because the business isn't making money on its own. Ashley might be making money, right? Ashley might be making money as a graphic designer doing work, getting paid for 5 hours here, doing whatever, but that Ashley is her money. That's Ashley's money that goes to take care of Ashley's bills. But then Ashley also has to say, well, do I want to invest money into my business? In which case, Ashley should have a plan for doing that. This is why I'm all about a business plan. I know some people don't agree with a business plan, but I'm all about a business plan because otherwise it gets too confusing and you don't know what you're doing. So if you make a plan and you say, hey, in order for me to run this business for the next year, in order for me to run the business, this is what I need. And then in order for me to build the business, this is what I need. You can create a plan for both of those things and you can ask for people. People don't want to pay you. The investors are not investing in you. They need to invest in your business, right? And they want to invest in you as the owner of the business, as the person who's spearheading it, but they need to know that this idea has teeth and has legs. And in order for that to happen, you have to have thought about, does this idea have teeth and legs? Right? Is this actually going to be a moneymaker? And if you've not thought about that, if you don't know how it's going to make money, then it's probably more of an art form and a hobby. You have to sit down and think about it and say, hey, this is a great idea. This is a game that can sell for this, that, and the other. Let me do the market research to see where other games have sold. Let me see how many ways I can put this game out into how many people and how I can use this game in different ways to create community. How can I put it in schools? How can I do this? How can I do that? Blah, blah, blah. Does it make sense?
But yeah, I mean, I have looked into similar games and like how many people buy them, how much are they selling for, like, what does their social media look like and all that. So, I mean,
Have you done the money making work on it?
you mean determining how much money those ones are making?
Yeah, and how much money yours is going to make.
Well, I mean, it just depends on how many people end up buying it, of course, but looking at, similar, visual novels on Steam and elsewhere, it seems like a lot of them, sell for around $15 or so. And, they have thousands of reviews on them. So I don't know how many purchases they have, or they have tens of thousands of reviews. It depends. There's a spectrum depending on how, big it got in terms of, popularity. But, if just 1,000 people buy it, then that's $15,000. And if, an order of magnitude more people buy it, then that's an order of magnitude more money.
Yeah,
So,
but how does that break down for you? Right? I don't, and I'm so sorry, I don't know what Steam is. Okay, I
it's
don't know.
a platform to sell games.
Okay, so how much of that platform does Steam get? Because if it's
Yeah,
like
that's right.
Amazon, you're going to get, as a creator, you're going to get 5% of 15,000,
Oh, I
right?
don't think it's that bad. For
So
example, on Turbo Squid, when you're selling 3D models, the overhead that they take is less than 10%. and then you get the
Excellent.
rest.
So this is what I'm asking. If you've done that kind of work, then that should go into your business plan, and that should all be written down. It shouldn't be something that's in the ethers. It needs to be concrete. If you're coming to me as an investor, what I want to know is not what other people, I do want to know what other people have done, but not as a reference for what you've done. What I'm going to want to know is, yeah, how many of these games are you going to sell? How much is it going to, how are you going to sell? How much is it going to cost for you to get them out there? All those kinds of things.
Yeah, so it looks like, yeah, Steam takes 30%.
Okay. So that's a big chunk, but that's okay, because once you've created the game, right? The work is done, I'm assuming, right? Once you've created it, the work is done, and then now it's about really just getting it replicated. So right now, Ashley, that just tells me you've got to do some work with building your business plan. Okay. And then once you start to do the work to build your business plan, then your doubts and those questions you have should be answered. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, it'll give me, more information about how much I might expect to make under different circumstances, or the range of, but it still feels like a huge unknown, because if I don't actually know how much of an audience it's going to attract, it seems very vague, regardless of the percentage that any platform takes.
But it sounds also like you haven't done the work. So it sounds to me like you haven't done any work on your business plan for this, because part of building a business plan is doing a survey. One of the things Sangeeta can answer, okay, is that you have to create a survey to send out to people to find out what they do and what they like and what they don't like and how much they're willing to pay, right? What they invest in. And so I have people in the program, they have to create this survey. They don't know why they're doing this, Ashley. I don't tell them all the reasons why, but what they do is they create this survey. They have to send it out to 50 of their people that they know. And in this survey, they're asking questions about like emotional wellness and pain points and needs, and what needs are not good. This is my world. This is not about gaming, okay? But the point is that there is a survey that you have to fill out so that you can get this information, okay? So, and again, and Cora, this is something also that you would maybe consider, and maybe you've already done it, but the fact is, these answers, and this is again, business plan. If you are creating something and you don't know if the market is going to want it or not, and you're creating it without doing the work to know if it's going to be accepted, you're taking a huge risk. And I'm all about taking huge risks, but I'm also about understanding my risk before I go launching in. I'm going to look over the edge and see what's down there before I go leaping, right? So, and I'm going to survey the land, which is why you send out a survey to find out what people are doing. You can go on social media and you can ask people, hey guys, I'm creating a survey. I need to know if this game is going to be something you guys are into. You can send it out on social media. You can put it up on Twitter. You can send it out to every forum. You guys fill out this survey for me. Ask the questions. This is a game I want to create. How much would you be willing to invest on this game? How much, how would, if you, I don't know anything about your industry, Ashley, I'm so sorry. I don't have the words to say in games. What do you like about this character? How would you like it if this blah, 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 all of these things are, how do you feel about this storyline? All of these things are questions that you don't have to have a lot of mystery for. When you think about who your niche client is, who your customer is, once you discover who that customer is, then you create the game for them. This is what I'm teaching Sangeeta. This is what I do in my program. You first need to take your ideas, then take your ideas to the public, have them fill out a survey and give you their feedback on your ideas. Then you take their responses and you study them, you analyze them, you say, oh, this person doesn't like this, but this person does like this. And then this person, let's see, how can we bring those together? Oh, well, I can bring it together like this, right? This is you doing the research for your business, for your plan. Then you can go forward and create, which is exactly what Sangeeta's doing. She's going forward now and she's creating her program based more. It's still her program. She's not leaving out her ideas, but she's creating it now for her ideal client. And she's saying, well, my client knows these things, and these are the things she's struggling with. So I can create a program to give her, to answer those things. Does this make sense?
Well, yeah, I mean, you need to do market research in general. It's just that, in this case, I have not seen what you're describing in terms of a survey per se. I've seen like, making a survey, not in terms of like asking specific people questions. I mean, sure, like you can do that too, I guess, but more like just seeing what's out there and what people are already buying
You have
and
to do both,
how people
honey.
are, yeah.
You have to do
Well,
both.
sure, I guess, but
Okay.
the
It's not, I guess, Ashley.
I know.
It's not, I guess. Okay. You're
I
talking to
know.
someone
I'm
who does this.
having a
Okay.
hard time imagining the second half of this. So, like the part where I am the one asking questions of people, I have a hard time imagining where I'm going to ask those questions and get useful feedback that I can act on. Because if you just ask the internet, then you're going to get such a broad response. And I mean, and there are going to be people who say just all kinds of things. And I would it really be that much different information from just seeing
Okay.
what people are getting overall? Because, like, for example, I have a friend who is a novelist, or who focuses purely on fiction, and she's trying to get published. And what she's learned is that what's really popular is post-apocalyptic fiction for young adults.
Mm-hmm.
And that isn't necessarily what she's trying to write.
Sure.
She could cater to that, and she could just be like, okay, this is what people like, so this is what I'm going to try to make, but it's not where her heart is. And and she's written other things that she felt more passionate about, but then she'll send it to an editor and be like, no, we're really just looking for post-apocalyptic fiction for young adults. And then she'll have a hard time getting it published as a result of that. So things like that. So I can discover that type of information, like, okay, these are the genres, these are the, that are popular right now, you know.
Totally.
But is that going to result in me sort of like doing a different type of game and catering to it? I mean, there are some considerations, such as like format and presentation and things like that, just sort of seeing like what kinds of things might go over better. Some of that comes from having a test audience, though. Like, not so much like going to a forum online and being like, what kind of games do you like? Or saying like, just out of nowhere, I'm a nobody, but if I'm making a game that is like this, what do you think? And I guess you could do that. It's just I've never seen anyone do that before, so it's just hard for me to imagine that being a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, Ashley, I understand that you've never seen that done before. And it's hard to imagine it's hard to imagine something you've never seen done before.
Yeah, whereas I have seen a
And
test audience. Like if you have like a very, very early concept or a very early stage of something and you find, sure, that same like 50 people or so that like, or like, whatever in your extended circles, and you give them that and you say, well, what do you like? Can you take a look at this sample or whatever and tell me what you think? And then you sort of like, use their reaction to inform the rest of your planning and your design and things like that.
yeah.
That makes perfect sense for me, which seems different from what you're describing. Maybe it's not. Maybe that's just like a
Sounds
different form of.
exactly like what I'm
Okay.
describing. It's
Okay. So,
exactly what I've said.
okay, because what you were saying was like a survey where it's like I send out a questionnaire as opposed to sending them a sample. So that makes a big difference
Well,
in my mind.
so the thing is, so I'm sorry, my people, okay, the way I train people, when they do a survey, it's not a survey. It's not a, it's probably not what you're thinking. And again, I'm working in a totally different industry. And I'm also working with people in a very intimate way. So you've been coming onto these calls just for a couple of weeks. You and I haven't really been, and you and I are working in this particular kind of general, this general arena. Now, because you're asking me to get more specific, and I like that you're asking me to get more specific, because to me, this is where I rock, okay? The fact of the matter is, what we do is we take weeks to develop a survey based on what it is my student has discovered in their own lives. So their surveys are very, very specific. For example, one of my students likes to work with empaths. Now, understand, Ashley, and ladies, we're not going to be able to go into much more after this because I want you and I want Ashley to understand this concept, but I want you all to understand it as well. Sangeeta already gets it, okay? But what we're doing is first, the student understands who they are, okay? And they have an idea of what it is they want to bring to the healing world as a teacher, okay? So this is not general, like just general stuff. These are people who already know, I want to work with, Sangeeta likes to work with authenticity, right? One of our other students likes to work with empaths, okay? People who are energetically very, very sensitive. So what she does, and I'm going to actually give you an example because I have permission to use this example. Hold on one second. Let's get into the pink and blue kaleidoscope. And so this particular woman wants to work with empaths because she herself is an empath, right? She's very, very sensitive. It has caused her many problems. So she's come up with, she created a survey that, hold on, I think I can share my screen here. And this would be, yeah, here we go. Share screen. And so this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a survey. It's not just, oh, go online and just to, ask some random questions. What she does is she's written up a very intimate and warm introduction to her survey. And then she goes into the questions she needs. Now, this is partially so that she can understand the person who's actually asking, that's actually filling in these questionnaires. And the point is that she needs to get back a body of people that she can study, okay? So is she going to just put this up on the internet and send it out to just everybody in the world? No, she's going to send this out in groups that deal with empaths, that are for sensitive people, that are for spiritual people. She's going to send this out to her friends who are spiritual and sensitive. She's going to share this in the right context. Okay, so she's not going to like treat her work, she's not going to just put her work out to general people. She's putting it out there to people who would be interested in her work, right? So what she does is she gets into asking some questions about the love life, and she gets them kind of warmed up with a lovely kind of playful thing, like I'm single and ready to mingle, and then she goes into, happily taken, super in love, just entered into a relationship and noticing some triggers. She's starting to get into asking some really deep questions to help her understand the people who are in her target market potentially, right? Then what she does is she starts getting into her work around being empathic. Like, do you know what empathy is? And then she starts getting real deep. She says, look, tell me about the narcissists, the sociopaths, and the emotionally abusive people in your life. Have you noticed this narcissism in your life in other ways, right? And then she gives them an opportunity. She gives multiple choice questions, right? Or single select questions. And then she gives them like paragraph questions where they get to actually tell what it is that's really going on with them, right? So the reason I'm sharing this with you all is to show you that this is not just about like putting out some general like thing. This is about thinking very deeply about what it is you want to offer, but then giving other people an opportunity to come into your world. Does that make sense? Right? Ashley, is this a little more clear to you what I'm talking about? Because this is an example of what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a questionnaire. That's similar to what I was thought that you meant originally.
Okay,
Um,
very good.
so
These
it's
things are what people like us do to help us understand where our people are and to create programs that are going to help these people. This is a way to bring in your ideal target client. And the result is that these are people who buy from her, who have helped her to establish her business and are willing to invest in her.
right. Yeah, I mean, I see how that fits. Trying if you're trying to come up with programs that help people in their lives, you want to know what's going on in their lives.
Right.
With games, I mean, for people to understand what it is that you might be proposing to offer, I think it would look different from this, and that's
Sure
why I
it
was
would.
talking about essentially not making it a questionnaire at all, but basically making it an alpha test and having a test audience for some sort of early sample or for some
Okay.
sort of like pitch, basically. And so, similar to how, well, movies, they might have a screening of just like the storyboards, before they've done any
Sure.
animation, so that people kind of see like, okay, so this is what the art style is going to look like. This is what the pacing is like. This is what, the
Totally.
kind of tone is like, and how does the audience react to it? That's kind of what you want. So
Totally.
it's so that, and in my case, it would be like an early, like an alpha version of the game, basically, that only has like the first couple scenes maybe, and doesn't have all the art done. And it's just like, you can kind of see what the premise is. You can kind of see what the look and feel is, and what the gameplay is like, what the experience of playing it is intended to be anyway, even though you can tell that
Excellent.
it's a rough draft of just the very first part of the game. And
Very
then,
good. So Ashley, look, I'm sorry. I need to move on because
yeah,
I
okay.
have to go. But the point is you have the point of understanding that you've just answered your own doubts. That
Yeah,
you
well,
need to do the work, okay, to create whatever it is you need, whether it's a survey or whether it's, split testing or whatever test groups. You need to do that work so that you can answer your own doubts. That's the whole point of us doing this exercise this morning.
well, that's the
Getting really,
plan. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
okay,
it's right now, like we're preparing this alpha version that we can distribute in that way.
fantastic, very good, excellent. Very good. So, my whole point for Cora and Sangeeta is that you all need to look at your statement, look at your resistance to the statements, and then understand that you have the opportunity to answer your statements, right? To whatever your doubts are, you have the ability to create some kind of a solution for yourself so that you don't have to be um, plagued by doubts or weighed down by them. So, from Cora and Sangeeta, can I just hear very quickly your statement and your whatever your resistance is to your statements?
I'll go.
Sangeeta.
Okay. Uh, so the name of my business, what I've always done with is connect with yourself,
Hmm.
and the services that I like to work on is more on coaching, mindfulness training, mentoring, and like around meditation. So these are the areas which I touch upon
Yeah.
very clearly. My customers or my tribe would be more to do with women with
Hmm.
who are looking for authenticity, or probably living with a mask and unable to reach to their authentic self, so to try and explore that area.
Great.
The result and benefits that I'd give them is help them meet their inner self so that they can transform their very being that they are currently having to
Yes.
their higher self of being. So that's
Yes.
what my benefit is for them.
Yeah.
Now, the resistance that comes for me at times is, am I going to be able to, have the same earnings that I'm currently having, what I get in my job?
Sure. Hmm.
That's the first resistance that comes to me. So that then brings fear to be able to let go my job and then move fully to my business. So that
Absolutely.
then blocks me, like I can't give full focus and attention to my business. So it kind of becomes I want to do it, but then I don't have that much time to do it with all the things that I have. So,
Yeah.
and then the
Right.
second thing that comes to me is, how do I reach, out to the client, which now I'm working with Crystal. So with the survey and things like that, I'm now getting to understand how I can put myself out into the market,
Yeah.
try and reach out to people. So this has always been my fear, because I was not sure how I could get to that, but it's now falling into place. Then the next one is like, how could I really communicate to people what I'm doing? Because especially in the Asian culture, it's coaching and working with yourself is considered very like medical, only if you have medical issues, or if
Mm.
it's getting better now, but it's still not in the forefront in where I come from. So that has always been my resistance, like how do I break through that and make people understand that this is about yourself and not about being selfish, but it's about, when you work with yourself, you will see things around you start working automatically.
Yeah.
So that's where my
Okay.
resistance comes. So how I would be
It's
more easily
powerful.
acceptable is what my resistance comes to.
That's beautiful, Sangeeta. Really, really beautiful. Really good insights as well. And again, the point is that we want to address these resistances, these doubts, these concerns in very practical ways. So, what I'd like for you to do over this next week is to write down some practical ways to deal with those resistances, because the goal is there. The goal is beautiful. The business purpose is beautiful. And just to write down some practical ways that you can deal with all of your own resistances. And then the key that we want to work on, the thing we want to work on, is um, to create a an inner freedom from resistance, so that the world will reflect the inner open mind. Okay, the mind that's free. Awesome. And I look forward to hearing back from you next week and seeing how that goes, what you come up with. All right, Cora.
All right. So just real quickly, I want to say that Ashley and Sangeeta just they perfectly articulated their resistances, that it definitely mirrored everything that I feel resistant about. And so I'll just read you guys what I have. It's name of business, Fairylands Farm. We provide goat therapy, animal education, animal reiki. We work with individuals looking to be more mindful and manage stress in their lives to improve their health and happiness. And we also work to improve the happiness and well being of their animal friends, which results in greater happiness, health, and well being, strengthening of the human animal bond. Okay.
Excellent. Wow.
And then just that of, how am I going to make money off of it? How am I going to, make sure that I support the animals, myself, my husband? I live in a small town in the South that's a little backwards still and rushing to
Mm,
catch up. And so, kind of like Sangeeta said, how do I break that traditional mindset that a lot of people have and help usher in like change and evolution and
mm,
in many ways. And so and then
mm.
how do I communicate all of this to people? And then how do I be seen? How do Wait, hold on. How am I seen as an authority figure with all of it?
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Yeah, very good. Um, I feel like, again, business plan, right? Because in your business plan, you would write down how you're going to make yourself the authority. That's a part of the business plan, isn't it? How do
Yeah,
you make yourself an authority? And Cora, some of the ways you make yourself an authority is by making regular videos, right? Letting yourself be seen as the expert. You know,
nice.
I don't know if you're going to be doing a blog or if you're going to just do a vlog, you know.
So just videos.
Yeah, right. So that's where you're going to be able to establish a lot of authority, by letting your, you know, goat therapy, letting it be seen, letting people see it in action.
Kind
And
of letting it speak for itself.
yes, sure, sure. And then what you have to do is brainstorm how you're going to do these things. The whole point of doing your business plan is so that you can actually brainstorm all of these different things that you're going to be doing. You brainstorm the budget. You brainstorm the marketing strategy. You brainstorm the vlogs that you're going to do. You brainstorm all of these things, and then you refine them for the final product. So your business plan is not about the final product. It's about all the little steps that you get to in order to get to the final product. You grow while you're building your business plan, while you're sussing it out, while you're doing the marketing research, you're learning and growing and expanding, and then you take all of that and then you put it into the final, but you've become a different person at the end of your business plan, not because of the final, 30-page document, but because of all the work you did along the way. That's the thing that's going to help you. All right.
Totally makes sense.
So I would love for you also, just like for Ashley and Sangeeta, I want you all to look at your doubts, address your doubts, bring them to session next week, and let's see how much more clear you feel if those doubts still have the same weight. So, in my opinion, if you've done the work already, you should not have the doubt anymore, right? Or the doubt should be less loud and less common, right? So if next week I come in and I said that how am I going to communicate what I do? If that's still a doubt for me, then obviously I haven't done the work, If I'm saying what is my message, I don't know what the message is, and then obviously I've not done the work. Okay, so our job this week is to make sure that we address these doubts, and we come in with an opportunity to, we can then work on something else because we moved on these doubts. We've moved beyond these doubts, and we can now start doing the planning to take us into our statement, to make our statement real, right? Excellent. Are there any questions or anything before we sign off, ladies? All right, excellent. Well, I thank you so much for joining me this morning. This is moving day for me. I get to move into another temporary place where I will be for 1 week. So next week I should be broadcasting from my temporary, I'm renting a room, and it's going to be a small room. I don't know if I should bring this whole computer. I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I should just do my laptop. It's too late. I'm bringing the computer. I might be in my bed holding my Mac in my arms. I don't know. Um, anyway, so I'll be broadcasting from the new place, and then I will see you all in my brand new apartment the following Wednesday with my own place on my own lease and my own furniture, which I haven't been, it will have been like 10 months. I'm very excited, very happy. So again, thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you all next week, okay? Bye, everybody. Bye.